Hey, welcome to Integrative Preparedness. I'm Steve Smith. Well, I have an announcement today. My fourth book, An Appeal to Heaven, let's see if I can lift it up here. I'm not very good at this stuff, is now, there we go. There we go. I'm covering up my name. Not that that's important. Is now available on Amazon in both paperback and Kindle. I'm going to talk about that here in a minute, but I want to start this off because I've meant to do this on the last couple of videos and welcome all of the new subscribers that I have both here on YouTube and on Patreon. Uh, and I want to give some thanks. First off, welcome to you all. It's great to have you here. I am enjoying all the new comments, all of your introductions, telling me where you came from. Many of you are Vikings over from Viking Preparedness. Thank you to Joe Fox over there for that. It's just been an explosion from the Vikings. And you guys, you all are mentioned in this book. And this is an introduction, and you're going to be covered more in the fifth book. But I'll get back to that later. Also have some other people coming from other channels, and I thank you all out there for that. Real World Prepper, Zombie Farmer, Steve out of Corsair Trainers. I know some have come from you, and Zach, you're in this book, by the way, down there at the Revolting Man. Anyway, there are others out there, but I want to welcome all of you. The explosion on these subscribers was just phenomenal. It has caused me a bit of a problem in that I've always enjoyed being able to answer everyone's comments because I didn't have that many. I didn't have that many subscribers. So I didn't have that many comments, but I enjoyed all of them, and I always enjoyed getting back and answering them. And now I have to admit that between the book, excuse me, let me take a drink out of my Second Amendment cup and try to get that out of my throat. Now I have to admit that I'm not able to keep up necessarily with answering all of them. I try to, I punch that heart to let you know that I saw it, and I wish that I could answer because some of the comments are just great. You're a wonderfully informed group. I think that everyone has has an opportunity to learn from a lot of the comments on here. So I thank you for your participation and your contribution to it. And I would just ask, please feel free and ask you to even comment more. Share, even though it's, I put my videos up, a lot of times they're just an excellent jumping off point for others who have more information or different information about the subject that we're talking about. So please do, jump on, comment. And I've never really, concentrated on the number of subscribers. I just get on, kind of ramble on, about whatever I'm thinking about. But I realize now that I am going to probably be getting a bit more on a soapbox about some things as we go into increasingly interesting times. And so I would ask you, you might want to check, see if you're subscribed, see if for some reason, because of the algorithms, you've been unsubscribed and just happen to stumble across this, without getting a notification. Make sure that you're subscribed. Hit the like, as they say, as those guys who are a lot more experienced at this than I do say, hit the like button, and please share it. I appreciate you sharing, my videos with your friends and anybody that you either think will agree with us, or maybe who you just want to poke them in the eye. And we all know that happens, don't we? But anyway, so thank you all. Welcome to you all. I hope to hear a lot from all of you and get to know you a bit through your comments. And I know that I will learn a lot because I do. Back to the book. Okay. This, for those of you who have read the first 3 books. The Reversion, the Revival, and the Renewal. This is a continual. Well, you know what? I realized I almost forgot. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the phrase an appeal to heaven after I do this. But I realized that instead of explaining a little bit about it, I wrote, instead of including the wonderful introductions that were in the first 3 from John Middleton, I put in this one an author's note. So it's from me, kind of explaining what this is about, what the direction, where it came from, the direction we're headed, and a little bit about the title and the switch of title, which some of you might be familiar with. So if I just read this, this will be interesting, hopefully, to those of you who have read the first 3 and those of you who may not have and are just now, being introduced to the Stonemont series and me and whatever. So I'll start this. This is the author's note that's in the front of the book. And I'll start. As I have mentioned in past books, this is a sequel to the previous and should be read after the others, the Reversion, the Revival, and the Renewal, in order to fully understand it. My reason for this is simple. I've always found it tedious to read reintroductions of situations and characters, and so have no desire to write them. For those who have read the first 3 books in this series, you may have seen that I intended to title this one The Blessings of Freedom and make it the first in a new series called the New America series. My reason being that the action begins to expand beyond the original area of Stonemont. However, as the story continued to unfold, I changed my mind and decided to change the name to An Appeal to Heaven, a reference many of you will recognize, and make it the 4th book of the continuing Stonemont series so as not to create a false feeling of interruption in the progress of the story. Though the scope is expanding, it is still through the lens of Stonemont that we view that expansion, and Stonemont which remains the center of our attention as it continues to increase in its size, its influence, and its interest in the world around it. An Appeal to Heaven is a transitional book. It continues and builds on the circumstances of its predecessors while expanding into new areas, both geographic and social, and does so through the eyes of both established characters and numerous new ones. As such, it is both a cap on the birth pangs of the New World and an introduction to the challenges of the future, a future that is far more complex and threatening than the initial stages of survival and reestablishment of elemental society following the collapse. It is essentially the framework around which the continuing series will be seen to take shape. And finally, a brief word about me and how I approach the writing of my books. I am a traditionalist. I hold to traditional values and consider them to be the foundation of a healthy, productive society and civilization. I am a Christian, and without denigrating other belief traditions, agree with Patrick Henry's statement that this great nation was founded not by religionists, but by Christians, not by religions, but on the gospel of Jesus Christ. I'll be making a separate one on that, a separate video. I did that on another channel some time ago. I'll be making a separate video on that because I think a lot of people don't understand the Christian foundation of our country because there's so many arguments about it. Okay, I'm sorry, I interjected that. Now back to this. Arguments against this are ill-informed and incorrect. And to ignore this would be to ignore the most important foundational principle of America. And I am a patriot, in that I subscribe to and support the principles on which our country was founded and under which it prospered, though not how those principles are often subverted. Some find this offensive, but those are not the ones I write for. To those of you I do write for, welcome back to Stonemont and the continuing adventure in the building of a new America. Okay, that kind of gives you the synopsis of what to expect from the book. You know, one of the things that I enjoy so much is when I hear readers and I get emails or comments or reviews on Amazon, or I run into people personally who have read it, and so often they say, I wish I lived at Stonemont. Because the world around us is getting crazy, and what I wrote about in my books, while I wanted to include um, survival and preparedness lessons, I wanted to do it in a novel and a story form that people would find interesting, so that they wouldn't find the learning tedious. But I also included a lot of my own opinions on how I think society should be, how I think the world should be, what I think about government, what I think about what's happened in our country over the last 50, well, probably more than that. You could argue any number of years probably, but certainly what we're seeing the fruition of now, and the way back, if there is a way back. Um, I won't get into that right now. That's a subject for another video. But these are my views, and I am um, and what's the word? For a writer, I often can't think of the right word when I'm trying to talk. But I enjoy so much when I get feedback from people. I hear how many people uh, share those beliefs, those traditional beliefs, because that's what built our country, and that's the only way back. However this works, what I believe would be a fragmentation of our country, and that's kind of what I write about in here. I took it back, for those of you who know, I took it back to a total collapse, but then I'm building it back up to see what happens as we see fragments of societies begin to build throughout the country. And I think that's what's going to happen here. It's going to fall apart and it's going to fragment, and there's going to be a start, a do-over, a mulligan on a lot of these areas, and it'll be interesting to see how they do. Forgive the noise. These are the noises of Saturday in suburbia, and I've had a lot of people say, "You got to get out of the suburbs," and all that. And I'm going to make a video on that. There are reasons that I live in the suburbs, and I think that it's a valid question, and so I'm going to share. There's a lot of preparedness-minded people, more than you would imagine, in the suburbs. So I'm going to cover that in another one and share my thoughts. Finally, the last thing on an appeal to heaven. A lot of people, and the saying, not the book, the saying itself comes from John Locke's, what is it, second treatise on civil society or something like that. One of you guys, I should have looked it up before I came on here so I wouldn't sound like an idiot. One of you guys can look it up, but it's something like in 1690. So this is almost 100 years before the time that saying, that motto is usually associated with the American Revolution, and it means something a little bit different than many people, I should say, that I run into think that it does. In 1775, right before. A year before the signing of the Declaration, George Washington personally commissioned 6 cruisers for use against the British. There was no United States, there was no Treasury, there was no Navy, and he chose this motto, an appeal to heaven, as the flag with a pine tree on it. If you look here again, most of you are familiar with this, but those of you who aren't, and as you read the book, you'll understand why Stonemont is down there. And he shows that as the flag for essentially what was the first American Navy. And what it means, and then I think it was Massachusetts also used it for their Navy and their Army, and I should look this up. Anyway, many people mistakenly think that it means when everything is, well, let me just take one moment, because I put Locke's quote in the beginning of the book, and then I'll be able to explain that just a little bit as I bring this to a conclusion. If I can find it. You'd think I'd be able to find it, after all, it's my book, right? There it is. Okay. And it says, "And where the body of the people, or any single man, is deprived of their right, or is under the exercise of a power without right, and have no appeal on earth, then they have a liberty to appeal to heaven. Now, some people mistakenly think that that means when you've tried everything else, when you're at the very end and you're about to go under, then you appeal to heaven or appeal to God. Actually, what that means is when you've simply exhausted those things, those ways of recourse under a civil authority, a government, then your appeal to heaven is the first step in making a correction. So I think we should keep, and that's kind of why I switched the name of this book. We need to keep that in mind and realize that a correction is needed. We are in a drastic need of a correction in this country. And the first thing we should do is appeal to heaven, that we should go prayerfully to God, ask Him to direct us, ask Him to strengthen us, and to show the way that He would have us go in that. So that's what this is about. I'm very happy. I'm going to show it one more time. I'm very happy with the way that it came out. You know, every time there's an old saying, you know you're a writer when you get done with something and you're sure it's the worst thing that's ever been written. And it's funny because when I get done with my books, I often think, wow, I wonder if that made any sense at all to the people that are going to read it. And so there's always a bit of trepidation, and then as the reviews start coming in and people let me know, how much they liked it and all, it's very gratifying, and I appreciate it, and it drives me on to do more. And so I've been happy with the way this came out. It was just the latest one that, because there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on in this book, and you're going to kind of have to pay attention. But it sets up everything that's going to happen from this point forward in the Stonemont saga. And I'm very happy with the way that it came out, and I hope you all will enjoy it. Like I say, it's now available on Amazon in both paperback and Kindle. I'm working on a way. I've had some requests, some people to ask how they can get autographed copies. I've been too busy to check on that. I'm sorry. But I am going to check on that, and I am going to make a way available for anyone who would like autographed copies, or who would like to contact me directly and have one sent as a gift or a signed autograph to someone else. So that's what I'm going to do. So thank you all very much. I thank you for joining me here on YouTube. I thank you for joining me on Patreon, where we're doing a lot of cool stuff over there. They're just starting to, but are going to continue. And I thank you for enjoying my books and getting back to me and buying them. And I hope that they fill something in your life. And I can't say much more except thank you again. And I will leave it with my normal tagline, and that is that we must remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. And many times the preparation begins with our understanding of lessons of the past and the importance of traditional values. So thank you all, and you all have a great day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.